now return to World's Strongest 2 on Modern Marvels. Sometimes a new invention can really take off. In Brian Spencer's case, that's literally true. Brian's compressed air pogo stick has the most bounce per ounce, making it the world's strongest, reaching heights of over 7 feet.
Everyone, when they were kids, had a pogo stick. Everyone's bounced around on a pogo stick, and the design stayed the same for years and years. It was a metal spring, it had foot pedals on it, and that was it. And so no one ever did anything to try to improve it until we came along.
Brian, an extreme sport enthusiast, thought the idea of getting some hang time on a man-sized pogo stick sounded like fun. He recruited his father, a former aerospace engineer, to help him with the design.
It became kind of a challenge. I told him I thought I could come up with a way to make a better pogo stick, and he went out and raised money. He actually came and handed me a check and said, "Dad, you're on." And I'm thinking, on? On what?
This is very similar to the pogo stick that I had when I was a kid. And this thing obviously has a metal spring. Problem with metal springs is that there's a point of diminishing returns. Once it gets to a certain size, the weight becomes too much to get a guy that's 180 pounds off the ground. So we had to develop something that was completely different.
The direction I decided to go was to use a pneumatic spring or an air spring. In other words, replace the metal with air. What could be lighter? Doesn't wear out, and all you're doing is compressing air.
Vurtego's air spring is a column of pressurized air contained within a sealed chamber. When the air is compressed by a piston that is forced upward by a jumper's downward motion, the elasticity of the air absorbs the shock and forces the piston back, resulting in the launch.
Most office chairs have a little air spring in there, so when you bounce up and down in them, it's got a little cush to it. That's a little air spring. Vurtego pogo sticks are big air springs, very powerful and strong air springs.
Because it uses compressed air, the piston sits right here. The maximum compression ratio is 3 to 1. We take 3 quantities of air and compress it into 1 quantity of air.
Bruce and Brian assemble all the Vurtego Pro Pogo Sticks themselves at their workshop in Mission Viejo, California. Realizing the punishment that their pogo sticks, not to mention their users, will undergo, they've made their product out of some stern stuff.
This cylinder is the most critical part of the pogo stick, and so we make it out of a very high-tech thermoplastic. As you can see, it has a fairly thick wall. It will hold 800 pounds per square inch. It's made out of an alloy of polycarbonate.
We got the shaft here is made out of stainless steel, very thick, and I mean, that's not going to bend or break under hundreds and hundreds of pounds of pressure. It's going to stand up.
That lets this new breed of pogoists spring into action, performing radical aerial acrobatics.
When we were young, we had spring-powered pogo sticks that we did tricks on, but they usually broke, and we grew out of them. Then 10 years later, we discovered these adult, stronger pogo sticks that we can bounce on, do everything we dreamed of as kids.
The Vurtego has come a long way from the pogo sticks that first bounced onto the scene in 1918 from their unlikely place of origin, Burma.
Legend has it that there was a German backpacker that stumbled upon a farmer and his daughter in the countryside, and the farmer had made a little hopping stick for his daughter to get to the temple every morning along this trail that had some rocks and mud on it. Well, this little girl's name was Pogo, and took the idea back to Germany and added a spring to it and made the very first pogo stick out of a wooden configuration with a metal spring.
The toy maker, George Hansberg, received a patent for his gravity-defying gizmo. Since its arrival, pogo enthusiasts have been performing what seemed like amazing sidewalk stunts, like jumping rope or hopping upstairs. Then came Vurtego. Its airspring blew the faithful away when it first appeared at Pogopalooza, an annual event that celebrates the sport. It immediately raised the performance bar to new heights.
Kids are already doing flips on them and progressing the sport and really going big, bigger than anyone's ever gone on a pogo stick before, and that's going to continue to evolve in that same direction. The pogo high jump in the Olympics, the 50-yard pogo, maybe pogo rockets. I don't know, the sky's the limit.
Strength seems to have no limits. Industry and technology evolve, just like creatures in nature, and the strong survive. Perhaps it's just a matter of time before more powerful versions come along. But for now, all these models of might reign as the world's strongest.